In December 1941, Nazi Germany suffered two devastating blows. First, Hitler's invasion of the Soviet Union stalled outside Moscow in freezing temperatures. Then, the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor drew the United States into the war. In the shadows of these military failures, Hitler and his inner circle made a chilling decision. It was in this month, amid growing desperation, that plans were solidified for the most brutal phase of the Holocaust, Operation Reinhard. By late 1941, Hitler's dream of a swift, decisive victory in the East had collapsed. The Wehrmacht had failed to take Moscow, and Soviet resistance was fierce. Casualties were mounting. For the first time, the aura of German invincibility was shattered. Hitler began looking for a scapegoat and a final solution to what he called the Jewish question. On December 5, 1941, the Soviet Red Army launched a massive counteroffensive. Just 2 days later, on December 7th, Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. Hitler declared war on the United States 4 days later, on December 11th. These events fundamentally reshaped Nazi strategic thinking. The war was no longer a short campaign, it was a global struggle. According to the testimony of SS General Otto Hoffmann and the diaries of Joseph Goebbels, Hitler expressed that the war could only be won if internal enemies were eliminated. Jews, in his view, were undermining the German war effort. This line of thinking soon became policy. In mid-December 1941, Hitler hosted several key meetings at the Reich Chancellery. Among those in attendance were Heinrich Himmler, Reinhard Heydrich, and Martin Bormann. Though no full transcripts of these meetings survive, notes from Himmler's calendar and statements from post-war trials indicate that the decision for systematic extermination was made during these consultations. On December 16, 1941, Himmler met with Hitler. His notebook includes the chilling phrase, Jewish question, to be exterminated as partisans. This marked a critical shift. The plan moved from persecution and ghettos to outright genocide. In the following weeks, the Nazis ramped up preparations. Adolf Eichmann began working with logistical staff to calculate train schedules for mass deportations. Engineers were instructed to begin constructing facilities in the general government area of occupied Poland, places like Belzec, Sobibor, and Treblinka. On January 20, 1942, high-ranking Nazi officials convened at a villa in Vanz, outside Berlin. The meeting, chaired by Reinhard Heydrich, formalized Operation Reinhard, named in his honor. The aim, the total extermination of the Jewish population in German-occupied Europe. 15 top bureaucrats attended, including state secretaries from key ministries. The minutes, known as the Vanz Protocol, leave no doubt about the intent. It outlines plans to deport 11 million Jews to the east, where they would be treated accordingly. A euphemism for murder. Heydrich made it clear that deportation to work camps would only be a temporary measure. Jews unfit for labor would be eliminated. Eichmann, who took the minutes, later confirmed the genocidal nature of these plans during his 1961 trial in Israel. In the weeks following Vanz, the Nazis launched full-scale construction of death camps. Belzec was the first to become operational in March 1942. It was followed by Sobibor and Treblinka. These camps were designed solely for extermination. Unlike Auschwitz, which had both labor and death functions, Operation Reinhard camps had one purpose: kill as many people as possible, as efficiently as possible. Gas chambers were built using carbon monoxide pumped from tank engines. Trains arrived daily. Victims were told they were being relocated. Within hours, they were dead. Estimates suggest that by the end of 1943, over 1.7 million Jews had been murdered in these 3 camps alone. The operation required extensive coordination. The SS's Economic and Administrative Main Office managed construction. Local police units assisted in roundups. Ukrainian auxiliaries trained at the Treblinka camp helped run the extermination process. The scale and speed of the killing were unprecedented, At Treblinka, nearly 800,000 Jews were killed in just over a year. Operation Reinhard was not born in a vacuum. It was a direct response to military setbacks, ideological hatred, and a strategic shift toward total war. Defeat outside Moscow and the entry of the US into the war convinced Hitler and his inner circle that Jewish extermination was a necessary wartime measure. The evidence is clear. From Himmler's notes to the Vanz Protocol, from survivor testimonies to the physical remains of the camps, historians have pieced together a chilling picture. Operation Reinhard ended in late 1943 as the tide of war turned. But by then, millions had already perished. It remains one of the darkest chapters in human history. A genocide launched not in triumph, but in the ashes of failure. Understanding the roots of Operation Reinhard forces us to confront how quickly ideology, war, and desperation can descend into mass murder. This was not an aberration. It was policy, cold, calculated, and executed with horrifying efficiency. For more in-depth analysis of the key turning points of World War II, please share and subscribe.